So I've got my output from Webinar, and it doesn't particularly matter what the output is. This is the one from some independent samples analysis of urinary beta thromboglobulin. Here I have my tables and I have my charts, and that is very nice. I have some references at the bottom telling me that these are the things that I should be putting in to my report. So one of them is Jamovi, the next one's R, because Jamovi is actually a covering for R. Then it talks about the difference formula and some references to the techniques done. I'm not quite sure why you need a more modern one than that, why you're not referring to the original Welch's paper. And then there's something about the CAR to applied regression package, which happens to be part of the R program. But as well as that, you want to get this data into your report. So what can you do? So what you can do is export all of it. So you can export it to a PDF. So I'm going to call this beta, and I've forgotten the name of it. It's beta thromboglobulin. To be honest, putting in dates is a better idea, so that you know exactly when you did the analysis in case something changed. So putting a date before that, and put it in the date of year, then month, then day, because then there's no arguments about the formats between the US and the UK. So that exports absolutely everything. So if I go to downloads, I've got that particular PDF file which contains everything. It's not a bad looking PDF file. That's nice. You can hand that into your supervisor as a report. But if you actually want to embed it into the paper, you're going to want to do something a bit different to that. So let's have a look here. We can do just the analysis. So again, we can export that as a PDF. So I'll just call this analysis because that's what we just did. Export. So what have we got here? Looks like all of it to me. It's missing that top bit here, which tells me what I was doing. The independent t-test box. So that's the complete analysis. Still looks nice. I'm not quite sure about the text of that particular one. Okay. Now what I can do is, I can also, what's the other things I can export? So I can export this group of figures. So I can export them. I've only got a choice of web or PDF. It's very difficult to insert PDFs into files. If I pick this, it's a table, so I can export that table. So again, I can export it as a PDF, which is good to have that table, but I might have to retype it to put it into my report, because it's fairly difficult to just insert PDFs into documents. More interesting is what you can do if I can select them with the images. So I can export these. Now this is better because I can save them as PNG, SVG or EPS. Now this depends on what you're going to do with the particular image. If you're going to make a massive size poster and you want to expand it as much as possible, then you need to have a vector graphic. Because a vector graphic, when you scale it, doesn't pixelate. If you're just going to put it in a Word document, then a PNG, which is the free from copyright and regulations, free from intellectual property version of the GIF, So you want to have it as a PNG, and this is the which one did I do? I'll just call it plot 1. So now if I go to my folder, I've got plot 1, which happens to be the QQ plot, and this I can put into my report. Now it shows that the data is reasonably normally distributed because most of it falls along that line. There's a slight up and down to it. I'd prefer it to be more randomly scattered in both directions, but it's not absolutely horrible. So I can put that into my report, and similarly, if I wanted to do this, I can export this one, the other plot. So that's it's a kind of box plot with the median and the mean marked on it. I don't know what I'll call it. I'll call it box plot, even though it's not a box plot because I haven't got the boxes for the quartiles. So I suppose it's a line, but it's not a typical line chart. And I want to export that as a PNG as well. Export. Just wondering if there's anything you can do to change the format of the plots, or if you're just stuck with that particular one. Oh, you can add a note underneath if you want to. So I think that's the one downside, that you've got this plot, but it's not completely the plot that you'd like to do. But I suppose that's done by, if you go to exploration and go to descriptives, you can create different types of plot. So histograms, box plots. So here I can create the proper box plot and violin plot from my data. Oh, you flicks between box plot or violin. I hate those colours, to be honest. And that's the ugliest violin plot I've seen in a while. I should have exported it as a PNG. Not as a PDF. Trying to avoid exporting images as PDF.